What if death is not the end, but merely a doorway to another beginning? What if the life you are living right now is just one chapter in a much larger, cosmic story, one that you have been writing for countless lifetimes? Throughout history, great philosophers, mystics, and sages have spoken of a hidden cycle, one that governs the birth, death, and rebirth of the soul. This is the ancient teaching of reincarnation, a belief found in civilizations across the world, from the sacred texts of India to the secret doctrines of the West. But what if reincarnation is more than just a religious idea? What if it holds the key to understanding your true purpose, your deepest fears, and even the people you are drawn to in this life? In this video, we will uncover the hidden truth about reincarnation, the mysteries that have been passed down through esoteric traditions, the scientific research that suggests we may have lived before, and the deeper spiritual implications of remembering past lives. But more importantly, we will explore how this knowledge can transform your life right now. The truth about reincarnation has been distorted, hidden, and even suppressed throughout history. But today, we lift the veil. Are you ready to remember? The idea of reincarnation is as old as human civilization itself. It is not confined to one religion, one culture, or one philosophy. It spans the globe, appearing in the teachings of ancient India, Egypt, Greece, and even early Christianity before it was declared heretical. In the East, the concept of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, has been central to Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism for thousands of years. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the most sacred texts of Hindu philosophy, describes the soul as eternal. Just as a person discards old clothes and puts on new ones, so the soul discards the old body and enters a new one. For these traditions, reincarnation is not a random event, but a law governed by karma, the accumulation of one's actions, thoughts, and intentions. According to this view, every experience, every struggle, and every success in your current life is the direct result of choices made in past lives. But the belief in reincarnation was not limited to the East. In ancient Egypt, the soul's journey after death was meticulously recorded in the Book of the Dead, where it was believed that the soul would pass through various trials before being reborn. The Greeks, too, had their own version of reincarnation. Pythagoras, the famous philosopher and mathematician, claimed to remember his past lives, while Plato wrote about the transmigration of souls in his dialogues. Even in early Christianity, traces of reincarnation existed. The Gnostic sects, as well as certain interpretations of Jesus' teachings, suggested that the soul could return to earth to purify itself. However, in 553 AD, the Second Council of Constantinople officially condemned the doctrine of reincarnation, and from that point forward, the idea was largely erased from mainstream Christian teachings. Why was this knowledge suppressed? Did the ruling powers fear that if people knew they had multiple lives, they would be harder to control? Could it be that understanding reincarnation gives us a sense of spiritual sovereignty, freeing us from the fear of death and external authority? Regardless of its suppression, the belief in reincarnation has never truly vanished. It continues to resurface, not only in religious traditions, but in modern psychology and scientific research. And that brings us to the next question. Is there evidence that reincarnation is real? Throughout history, many have spoken of past life memories, but in modern times, reincarnation has moved beyond mere belief. It has entered the realm of scientific investigation. Could there be real evidence that we have lived before? One of the most compelling cases comes from Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist who spent over 40 years researching past life memories in children. He meticulously documented over 3,000 cases where young children, often between the ages of 2 and 6, recalled details of previous lives, names, locations, and even the way they died. In many cases, these details were later verified, matching historical records and real individuals who had passed away. For example, a boy in India named Shanti Devi began speaking, at the age of 4, about a past life in a town she had never visited. She described her former husband, her house, and how she had died during childbirth. When researchers investigated, they found that a woman matching Shanti's description had indeed lived and died just as she had described. Similar cases exist all over the world, from the United States to Burma, from Turkey to Lebanon. What's even more astonishing is that in some cases, children have birthmarks or physical deformities corresponding to the wounds or injuries that they claim caused their death in a previous life. Dr. Stevenson's research found that such cases were statistically significant and not just coincidences. But the evidence doesn't stop there. Past life regression therapy, a controversial but intriguing practice, has also uncovered countless accounts of reincarnation. Under hypnosis, people recall detailed experiences from past lives, events, places, even languages they never learned in this lifetime. While skeptics argue that these could be subconscious fabrications, some cases are difficult to dismiss. People have been known to speak ancient dialects they have never studied or recall historically accurate details that were later verified. And then there are near-death experiences, NDEs. People who have been declared clinically dead, only to return with vivid recollections of past lives and an understanding of the reincarnation cycle. Many report meeting spiritual beings who explain that they must return to Earth because their soul's journey is not yet complete. But the most fascinating question is not whether reincarnation happens, but rather, why? If we do return to this world again and again, what is the purpose? Are we trapped in a cycle, or are we evolving towards something greater? If reincarnation is real, then the next question is, why does it happen? Is it simply a cosmic cycle we cannot escape, or is it a path of spiritual evolution? Many ancient traditions suggest that reincarnation is not random. Instead, it follows certain laws, universal principles that dictate how and why we return. One of the most widely known concepts is karma. The idea is simple. Every action, thought, and intention creates an energetic imprint. These imprints shape our future experiences, not just in this life, but in the next. Imagine a person who has spent their entire life in greed, harming others for personal gain. According to karmic principles, in their next life, they may experience poverty or suffering, not as punishment, but as a lesson to develop compassion and humility. Likewise, those who live with love and generosity may find themselves reborn in circumstances that further their growth toward enlightenment. But karma is not the only factor. Many spiritual traditions also speak of the pre-birth plan, the idea that before reincarnating, souls choose certain experiences to accelerate their growth. This would explain why some people are born into incredibly difficult situations while others seem to have an easier path. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, the Bardo Thodol, also known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead, describes the process of dying and rebirth in intricate detail. It speaks of the Bardo state, a transitional realm where souls review their past life, encounter spiritual guides, and prepare for the next incarnation. Some souls, enlightened ones, can even choose whether to return or move beyond the cycle of birth and death. The Hindu Bhagavad Gita also addresses reincarnation. It describes the soul as eternal, never created, never destroyed, only shifting from one form to another, much like changing clothes. In this view, death is not an end, but a transition, and life itself is a school where the soul learns and evolves over many lifetimes. But could there be a final destination beyond reincarnation? Many mystical traditions suggest that the ultimate goal is liberation, known as moksha in Hinduism, nirvana in Buddhism, and enlightenment in other spiritual paths. This state represents freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth, where the soul merges with the divine, no longer bound by karma or material existence. This raises an even deeper question: how do we break free? If reincarnation is a process of learning, then mastering certain spiritual principles, compassion, wisdom, detachment, and higher consciousness, may be the key to ending the cycle. Many spiritual teachers, from Buddha to the ancient Hermeticists, have taught that self-awareness and enlightenment lead to liberation. But until that final awakening, we return, lifetime after lifetime, seeking, learning, evolving. The question now is, what can we do in this life to shape our next? If reincarnation is real, then the choices we make in this life do not just affect us now. They shape our future existences. Understanding this concept can empower us to live more consciously, making decisions that align with higher wisdom and spiritual growth. But how do we apply this knowledge in a practical way? 1. Mastering karma, the power of intentions and actions. Since karma plays a central role in the cycle of rebirth, one of the most powerful ways to shape our future is by becoming aware of our actions, thoughts, and intentions. Every moment, we generate energy, either positive or negative, through our choices. By choosing kindness, honesty, and integrity, we ensure that our karmic imprints lead to better circumstances in this life and the next. A practical method for mastering karma is mindful reflection. At the end of each day, reflect on your thoughts, words, and actions. Ask yourself, did I act with love, wisdom, and integrity? If mistakes were made, acknowledge them, make amends where possible, and set an intention to do better. This simple practice redirects your karmic energy, allowing you to consciously shape your spiritual evolution. 2. Breaking negative karmic cycles. Many people feel trapped in repetitive patterns, recurring struggles with relationships, health, or emotions. In esoteric teachings, these are often signs of karmic loops, lessons that have yet to be fully learned. To break free from these cycles, identify recurring patterns in your life. Are you constantly drawn to toxic relationships? Do you face similar challenges over and over? Instead of reacting in the same way, make a new choice. If you often respond to conflict with anger, try responding with patience. If you fear abandonment, cultivate self-love instead of seeking external validation. When we respond differently, we rewrite our karmic script, breaking old cycles and moving toward greater wisdom. 3. Preparing for a higher rebirth. If reincarnation is a journey of spiritual evolution, then we can take steps now to ensure that our next life brings us closer to enlightenment. Many ancient traditions emphasize purifying the mind and soul through practices such as meditation and mindfulness. Quieting the mind helps detach from lower desires and attune to higher spiritual truths. Service and compassion. Acts of kindness and selfless service generate positive karma and elevate consciousness. Study of sacred teachings, wisdom from ancient texts, philosophy, and spiritual traditions deepens understanding of life's purpose. By practicing these regularly, we set the stage for a more enlightened future existence, one where we continue our journey from a higher state of awareness. 4. The path to liberation. For those who seek freedom from the cycle of reincarnation, the ultimate practice is self-awareness and detachment. The teachings of Buddha, the Hermetic Masters, and Vedantic sages all emphasize that liberation comes when we transcend ego, desires, and attachments. One of the most powerful tools for this is self-inquiry. Regularly ask yourself, who am I beyond this body and identity? Observe your thoughts and emotions without attachment, recognizing that they are temporary and not the true self. Let go of personal dramas and shift focus toward the eternal consciousness within. This level of awareness gradually dissolves the illusions that bind us to the material world, leading to spiritual freedom. When we begin to see life as a continuum of growth across many lifetimes, every experience, whether joyful or painful, takes on a deeper meaning. The question is not just what happens after we die, but how can we use this life wisely to shape what comes next? The key to mastery lies not in fear, but in understanding, choice, and conscious evolution. Reincarnation is more than just a mystical theory. It is a lens through which we can understand our existence, our struggles, and our potential for growth. If we are indeed souls journeying through multiple lifetimes, then each moment of our current life becomes a sacred opportunity to evolve, to break free from old cycles, and to shape our future. Through the lens of karma, we see that every action, thought, and emotion matters. The choices we make today will ripple through time, influencing not only this life, but the ones to come. This is not a philosophy of fatalism, but of empowerment. If we have created our past, then we have the power to shape our future. And for those who seek liberation, the path lies in detachment from illusion, in transcending ego, and in awakening to the true self, the eternal consciousness that exists beyond the cycles of birth and death. The great sages, mystics, and philosophers have pointed the way, but the journey is ours to take. So, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue unconscious patterns, or will you take the reins of your destiny? The answer lies within you. If you found this video insightful, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you seek more hidden wisdom, subscribe, and join us on this journey of deeper understanding. Until next time, seek, question, and awaken.